Yes,
Am I
Shabbir,
audible
good
to you?
evening. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Deb, am I audible to you?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
We go live. I think,
Shabbir, are you going to share or do you want me to share? How do you want to do it?
yeah, I'm ready. I can share. No problem.
Okay. Okay, great.
I can share. Okay, so we get started now. Just get off my floor. Uh, yeah. So, Deb, hi, all of you. Good evening. Kaushik, we have Marxist. That's a nice spin on Marxism. Adya, okay. Avnish. Can you all hear us? Are we audible to all of you?
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all.
Anushka Singh. Some of our regular guys may not be active today. That's because they have a test going on for the
Okay.
prelims. They might join eventually. Maybe if you can put a message on the essays group.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
So maybe I'll do the same.
I think the team
Mm,
has put a message, but great. So we have Adya, Avnish, Kaushik, Marxist, Anushka, Kabir, Geography Finder. All right.
okay.
I always have a good time checking the profile names because it
Yeah.
really gives you a window in terms of what how the person views themselves and how the person wants to
Wants
project,
others. Yeah.
yeah, wants others to see. And I always remember, Shabir, what how I named myself the first time I got an email ID.
Okay. And how was that?
I don't want to spill the beans right here in front of the whole audience, but yeah, it was something to do with science fiction.
I can imagine you naming yourself Yoda, the kind of fan you are of
No, no,
Star Wars, or
no, that's not true. Okay. Good evening. Test done, Anamika. Very nice. Very nice. Sanjay Shrikot. Guru Balaji Sarvanan. Okay, great. I think we have a quorum. We have.
quite a few of them
Okay,
have joined
Kabir.
us.
Good try. Let's see if you can guess it by the end of this session. All right, Shabbir. I think we can get started.
Right then, we get started today. Uh, I would start with Deb,
Yeah.
um, showing our friends and aspirants the just a minute. Yes. So I wanted all of them to see this screen of ours. We documented the PYQs. So these are some topics I would like all of you to pay attention to. Uh, this topic that says um, thought finds a world and creates one also. This topic, best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. Okay. Uh, the years teach much, which the days never know. it is best to see life as a journey, not as a destination. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but to test the character, give him power. Okay. Not all of his, some indirect way, not all who wander are lost. This one, inspiration for creativity springs from the effort to look for magical in the mundane. So there is a common thread in these topics, a thread where, okay, you have to make the best of whatever circumstances you have. Even the regular, boring, mundane things can be creative. That, happiness is something you can't go after, but live a life that has meaning. You derive happiness from that. This was a very powerful one. The best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. So I just listed down 5-6 topics. There are many more. Okay, I go back, even this one, a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ship is for. Okay. This one again, history repeats itself, first as a tragedy, second as a farce. So I'm hinting to that book that I think all of you should read. All of you should read this book. It's a book that I think captures one of the essence of what's good life, essence of what should be made of whatever life we have, how we can strive, okay, how we can survive despite the odds. I don't know if you have heard about this book, Viktor Frankl's Search for Meaning, Man's Search for Meaning.
And Shabbir, there was one more essay. I think right when you were showing that list, I saw
Yeah,
that which if you can flash that list,
I'll
I'll think.
flash it for you. I'll flash it for you. Yes, tell me.
Ah, yeah, row number 42. Life is a long journey between
Ah,
being human and being humane.
yes, yes,
I think has a lot to do with what we're going to talk about today.
yes, 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 absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we in the last 5-6 years of topics, I think I must have counted 7-8 of them, almost half of the topics, in some way or the other, talking about life, the wisdom of uh, being positive, the need to keep on striving for positive frame of mind, the importance of having hope. So this book probably captures all of that. So online students, YouTube, all of you, have you heard about this book? Have you heard about this book, Man's Search for Meaning? Viktor Frankl. I think this book was published in 1946, if I'm not wrong, or 40s after the World War. And this book is considered as uh, one of the modern pillars of how people look at life. People derive meaning from the struggles. It's used as one of the techniques of psychotherapy also. Yes. Okay. Guru Bala ji says yes. Shivya says no.
In fact,
Uh,
Shabir, I've seen students use Viktor Frankl's example in essays. Some of them I've seen it used. So, yeah, familiar to some, not familiar to everybody. But I think it's a great book for UPSC because, like you said, there is a purpose of life, definitely, which is right there in the title of the book, right? Meaning there is suffering, there is a journey, there is transformation, there is pain. There is so much in this book. So I actually, after you suggested it, I looked it up, and I was just kind of trying to draw a mind map yesterday, and I realized that, in fact, you are right. Most of the essay topics will have something to do with this.
Yes.
So we could, and I like this as an example a lot better than Buddha, Gandhi, Mandela, and Mother Teresa, uh, because everybody knows those examples. So I think this is great.
Yeah. So this technique of psychotherapy is called as logotherapy. We'll talk about why it's logotherapy. But I think all of you, it's not a very big book, hardly about 200 odd pages का है. आप 2-3 दिन में खत्म कर सकते हो. It's a very, very engaging book. It will force you to look into your own life. Okay, it'll force you to question your frustrations, question some of the moments of hopelessness. Give you a background. Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist in Germany, and during the World War II, whatever happened during the Nazi times, he was taken and he was put in a concentration camp, Auschwitz, where he survived. And because he was a doctor, psychiatrist, he taught himself to observe people, what they are going through, how they are going through, how are they managing life. He never thought he will escape, but it was his way of keeping himself busy. Ultimately, he was freed. The World War came to an end and they all got released. And then he wrote his experience and whatever he learned. And he says that I wrote it, I wanted to write the book anonymously. He didn't want to put his name initially. He wanted his experience to be of value for others without really seeking name or fame. And this book has become one of those most inspirational books you can think about. Man directly talking about. So I have some passages that I have marked out. You can all read along with me. So it
So,
says,
Shabir, I had just one more thing to add on
yes,
Frankel. In fact, those of you who are into history, Shabir talked about the fact that he was a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist. In fact, he was part of a series of psychiatrists that came from Austria. So
yeah.
he's an Austrian man, Austrian German, and it is said that in his teenage he started a correspondence with Sigmund Freud. And Freud, you all know Freud. In fact, another person you should know is Alfred Adler. And Freud, Adler, Viktor Frankl, they all come from Vienna, Austria. So there is a large concentration of sort of psychiatry, psychotherapy, psychoanalysis coming from that part of the world. So I just thought I'll share that. Look it up, and I think it'll give you, again, connections between Freud's theory and Frankel's theory, why they're talking about this. You can connect Camus' existentialism, Nietzsche's existentialism, Camus' absurdism, things like that. It's actually a fascinating part of European history in the early 20th century period. Yeah.
And this is the old cover, okay, original one. It says, after 3 grim years, okay, Frankel gained freedom to learn that his entire family had been wiped out. He lost his sister, he lost his wife. Okay, so yeah, good point, Dave. Talking about Freud, talking about Adler. So yes, some of you should know this Vienna School of Psychotherapy. Okay, so yes, Kaushik, it is his recollection of his life as a Nazi prisoner. And yes, Guru Balaji, you have seen that movie Life is Beautiful. Absolutely. How a man lives his concentration camp days with all the positivities he could have thought about. You should all watch this movie, by the way. If you haven't watched this movie, Life is Beautiful. Anyway, let's get started now. So there is a passage we start with. By the way, let me tell all of you that we will not have time to read the full book. Some passages is what I have picked up. Okay, this is the preface from the book. It says, Dr. Frankl, this is a preface by one of his colleagues or another Harvard professor. He says that Dr. Frankl, an author psychiatrist, sometimes asks his patients who suffer from a multitude of torments, great and small, why do you not commit suicide? Okay, no, a lot of people suffer intense experiences. This question, why do they not commit suicide? And he says that in one's life, it could be love of one's children. For another, it could be talent to be used. And the third, perhaps lingering memories worth preserving. Okay, and he says all of this is part of that existential analysis. So, how do people fight adversity? How do people fight pain? How do people fight loss, disappointment? So, different ways people find, and there's some common thread. He says that these threads are about love, about talent, about memories. Okay, so some of this is shown in this book itself. Okay, and most important says, how can somebody who has lost everything, every value destroyed, suffering from hunger, cold, and brutality, okay, how could he find a life worth preserving? So this is an extreme case, living in a concentration camp where you have nothing, no hope. There is damp conditions, lack of food, almost famine, deaths, brutality. Okay, in those conditions, how did people survive? How did they find a purpose to their life? Okay, so this book is largely about all of that. Okay, so starting from this, now I'm sharing some pages from the main book. Okay, the book has two parts. In the first part, he talks about experiences in the concentration camp. So he writes about the brutality, the hopelessness. Okay, and there's some passages I'm reading out. He says, this tale is not concerned with great horrors which have already been described often enough, but it is about the multitude of small torments. In other words, it'll try to answer this question: how was everyday life in a concentration camp reflected in the minds of average prisoners? In our lives, we read about great stories of bravery, great stories of endurance, great stories of fortitude. He says this book is more about those common man. It's about those common incidents, daily life, and how did they survive all of that? Okay, that is the book all about. Okay, so he continues in this. He says that when this one, sorry. He says in the concentration camp, the prisoners went through three phases in their lives. Three phases. He says that the first phase was a phase of complete shock. Okay, when they were taken to the concentration camp, he said it was complete shock. Okay, where he says that conditions of shock may even precede. What happened to my pen? Yeah, it may precede a prisoner's formal admission to the camp. Okay, he says even when the prisoner enters the camp, much before that itself, this problem starts off. The person is in complete shock, and then he says, what happened? Yeah, just a minute, guys.
You're trying to get back your red, Shabir?
I'm getting back my cursor.
Okay. So I think,
just
so many movies we have all seen about Auschwitz and concentration camps. My favorite recollection, well, I can't really say favorite, I can't use the word favorite, but most striking one obviously is Schindler's List. There
yeah,
was another TV series that was filmed when we were growing up, Shabir, called Escape from Sobibor, which was great, and so many other movies have been made about this, so that we are all familiar with the horrors that went on. But I think, as he says, this is not about the horrors. This book is not about that. This book is about what impact or how the average prisoner sort of translates it in their mind, right?
yeah,
How do they perceive the problem? And I think this is a great start. I think you got back your cursor, so I'll
yeah,
let you
yeah,
continue.
yeah, yeah. So he says the first phase is a kind of a phase of shock, and he says here, in psychiatry there is a certain condition known as delusion of reprieve. So when the prisoners were first taken in, and some of them saw, okay, death and being gassed, they saw torture. He said this delusion of deprive probably gave them some hope. ये होता क्या है? It's an illusion that he might be deprived at the last very moment. We too clung to shreds of hope and belief, right, that the last moment it would not be so bad, just the sight of red cheeks. Okay, so essentially, that when they were shocked, they didn't want to believe that they would ultimately die. They found a way of how they can deal with it. He says that 1,500 captives were cooped up in a shed built to accommodate probably 200 at the most. We were cold, hungry, not enough room for everyone to squat on the bare ground, let alone to lie down. One 5-ounce piece of bread was the only food for 4 days. He's painting such a grim condition. Okay, yet he said that somehow we survived because that a sense of numbness tha, okay, when there was shock. He says, then he says that while waiting for shower, our nakedness was brought home to us. We really had nothing now except our bare bodies, even minus hair. All we possessed literally was our naked existence. What else remained for us as a material link to our former lives? Imagine a person who is a doctor, a psychiatrist, doing well in life, taken away into concentration camp. None of them can believe this happening to them. Like, they kind of are waiting for a magic to happen. And then the trauma unfolds one by one. Okay, the trauma fit into a small room, just one. He says one blanket was shared by 9 people. One blanket was shared by 9 people. They had no pillows. They would use their shoes as pillows. Shoes which were muddy, wet, damp. They would use that. And then he says they were shorn of all possessions. They were asked to strip themselves down, take out every jewelry what they can, like in the name of taking bath. Says this is the type of condition they lived in. And there he says, very interesting, he says, yet when the water was forced on them, okay, they laughed out aloud. It was like it was amazing for them that the tap can have water. Water was a luxury. He says most of us were overcome by a grim sense of humor. We knew that we had nothing to lose except our ridiculously naked lives. When the shower started to run, we all tried very hard to make fun, both about ourselves and about each other. After all, real water did flow from the spray. Apart from that strange kind of humor, another sensation seized us: curiosity. He's telling what kind of sustained them. Initially, it was shock. shock and the hope that somebody will come and rescue them, revive, give them reprieve. Okay, when they're completely deprived of everything, they find humor, ridiculous humor, grim humor in very normal events. And what also sustained them was curiosity. Okay, so another way of how they fought back adversity, and there he says that we're curious about. Look at it, very interesting. He says that at that time, one cultivated this mind, the state of mind, as a means of protection. We were anxious to know what would happen next and what would be the consequence, for example, of our standing in the open air, in the chill of late autumn, stark naked, still wet from the showers. In the next few days, our curiosity evolved into surprise. Surprise that we did not catch cold. I mean, they have got no hope left, how their mind works. What keeps them alive? What keeps them surviving? It says it was reprieve, hope for reprieve, moved on towards a bit of dark, grim humor. Then they themselves are curious about कि आगे क्या होने वाला है. Remember the first question: what is it that stops them from committing suicide? And surprise, very interesting. He says that despite everything, he says, yet sleep came and brought oblivion and relief. We're unable to clean our teeth, yet in spite of that and severe vitamin deficiency, we had healthier gums than ever before. We had to wear the same shirts for half the year until they lost all appearance from being shirts. From days we were unable to wash, even partially, because frozen water pipes. Yet the sores and the abrasion in the hands, which were dirty from work in the soil, did not separate. So this is like, marveling at small things in life. Marveling, surprise, how did this survive? So all of this kind of gives him some kind of engagement. And a very powerful, he says, relevance here, he says, if someone asked of us the truth of Dostoevsky's statement that flatly defines man as a being can get used to anything, we would reply, yes, a man can get used to anything, but do not ask us how. So this, I think, is a important takeaway. Given the mind that we have, given the intellect we have, given experience we have, okay, sometimes we feel our pain is unbearable, we won't survive it. We feel the loss will be unbearable and we may not last, okay, we may collapse. But, this realization that man can survive anything, man can get used to anything, okay, I mean, forget the method how. You learn to adapt, you learn to survive eventually.
In
Take
fact,
some input here. Yeah.
I was going to add that I think any one of you who has faced a very hard situation, you might have been in an accident, you might have been in a sudden difficulty, anything of that nature where tremendous pressure, tremendous outcomes, or something very difficult was happening to you. What happens usually is that the body zooms in instead of zooming out. So instead of looking far in the future, worrying about your overall savings and the purpose of life, and will I attain awakening, will I lead a happy life, all those thoughts go away and you zoom in, saying, okay, how do I survive the next moment, how do I go from
Survive.
here to the next, how do I get from that to the third one, and then the third to the fourth. So I think that's what he's talking about. First, curiosity, you see humor in everything, you laugh at yourself. So these are survival mechanisms, that is hardwired into the body, that we zoom in, we focus completely on. So look how detailed his observation is. He is talking about his shirt, he is talking about his fingers, he's talking about some very very detailed points, things that you typically would miss in a day to day, right?
Yeah.
So you will miss this because he's so zoomed in to what is happening to him. He can actually appreciate all of that. So Kaushik's point that despite all the suffering, they would lose interest in life itself. In such a state, one should have the hope to be optimistic. Yes, exactly. So what this book is about, Kaushik, is where is that hope coming from, right? So how do you? So when you are in down in the dumps, you can either have like complete oh, I can't go any further down from here, right? The only way from up here, here is up. But you could also say that I'm gone, I'm dead, I'm finished. So where is that hope coming from? That's what Viktor Frankl has talked about. Yeah, Shabir.
This says, yeah, inside here it says the prisoner of Auschwitz in the first phase of shock did not fear death. I'm actually surprised by these insights. Okay, I mean, one thing standing apart, standing away, and thinking what they must be going through. But it says that somehow the first phase of shock, I think that was that expectation of reprieve. कि कोई आके बचा लेगा last minute में. Okay, so this and now this is a very interesting one. In one of the passages, Viktor Frankl says that they meet another guy from another camp. Okay, some way the guy escapes and comes to their camp, and he is a guy who has survived longer. And that guy says, okay, he gives a lot of tips. He says, one thing I beg of you, he continued, shave daily, if at all possible, even if you have to use a piece of glass to do it, even if you have to give your last piece of bread for it, you will look younger, and scraping will make your cheeks look ruddier. If you want to stay alive, there's only one way. Look fit for work, even if you limp, because they say you have a small blister on your heel, and an assessment spots this, he will have you wave aside, and next day you'll be gassed. Therefore, remember, shave, stand, walk smartly when you need, okay, and then you need not be afraid of gas. All standing here, even if you have only been here 24 hours, you need not fear gas, except perhaps you. And I found this very moving. Okay, the importance of staying in the right frame of mind starts with staying physically fit, looking fit, ensuring that you don't look, devastated. The physical act of looking smart and walking straight, that itself, he says, will give you courage to fight back. No,
And
it's like,
Shabir, this
yeah,
this is this. I was sorry to interrupt
yeah,
you,
please,
but this is what our parents used to say when we were kids, right? When we were suffering, ki jao beta, nahalo, and put on some good clothes.
yes.
And this is what my wife tells me even now, that whenever you are sick, you just do that, and then you feel better. So I thought I'll mention it. Yeah.
Yes, there's so wisdom, and this guy is talking about from his experience there. Okay. Anyways, I'll jump the pages now. I'll go to some other relevant sections I can discuss with all of you. Okay. So one is here. Okay. Now, in the process of his life, by some event, he starts thinking about his wife. He says, in my mind, but my mind clung to my wife's image, imagining it with uncanny acuteness. I heard her answering me, saw her smile, her frank and encouraging look. Real or not, her look was then more luminous. The truth that love is the ultimate and the highest goal to which man can aspire. I grasped the meaning of the greatest secret of human poetry and human thought, and belief have to impart. The salvation of man is through love and in love. I understand how a man who has nothing left in his world still may know bliss, be it only for a brief moment, in the contemplation of his beloved. So look how he understands how to fight back adversity. He talks about, remember, shock. He talks about hope. He talks about humor. He talks about, putting up a physical act of looking smart and looking fresh and clean, and also the act of love. He says the memories are a very powerful way of surviving. And the best part is, he did not know his wife was already dead. And he says that. He says, I do not know if my wife is alive or not. Okay. But somehow those good memories, okay, recalling those gave him all the energy. As the inner life, the prisoner tend to become more intense. He also experienced the beauty of art and nature as never before. When I read this, Dave, I was surprised. In that bleak conditions of, death facing their face, trauma of hunger, wet, damp conditions, cold Germany, okay, no hope of survival. And he talks about art, nature. Okay, he says, despite the factor, or maybe because of it, we were carried away by the nature's beauty, which we had missed so long. Dave, I think you can talk about this.
Yeah, I think I have, some personal experience with this also. Like, one of my uncles who was sick for a very long time, and he used to tell me that he used to get, he used to think of trees and he used to think of paintings when he was on bed, and he didn't know why. And he said just that these images came to me, and I don't know, it is something that within human consciousness that kind of hardwires us to think about the amazing
Nature.
things in the world that should somehow propel us to live, right? To experience it. He said that I'm like, he spent roughly, a year or a couple of years in the bed because of his illness, and he could not move or get out of the bed. And he said that I just saw a tree in all its beauty, zooming in on the branches, zooming in on the leaves, and zooming in on the canopy and all of that. So which is amazing, because you think that, okay, you are suffering, this is the last thing that will come to you, because these things have no utility, no value. But ultimately, these things have incredible value to the spirit. So yeah, that's a huge point there.
Yeah. He says, then after minutes of moving silence, one prisoner said to another, how beautiful the world could be. I don't know, this is longing for the world, or this is, getting inspired by the world they missed out. It must be, I mean, I can't even imagine, okay, being in that state and thinking, I mean, this is very profound, actually.
Right.
In fact, a lot of people talk about, the existentialists talk about, there's no purpose to life except for art and creativity. I think Nietzsche talks on those lines. You want purpose in life? The purpose in life comes through art. It comes through nature. It comes through beauty. It comes through music. It comes through writings. Okay, so this captures that essence. Online guys, I hope you all are able to connect with what we are telling you. So what are those qualities that help people survive? Okay, so humor was another of the soul's weapons in the fight for self-preservation. Okay, humor, more than anything else, is the human makeup, and they can afford aloofness and ability to rise above any situation, even if we have even if only for a few seconds. So how to live life in adversity is humor. It's hope, it's curiosity, it's love, the beauty of nature. Okay, so all of this, kind of, so it says, they attempt to develop sense of humor and to see things in humorous light. is some kind of a trick learned while mastering the art of living. It is possible to practice the art of living even in concentration camp, or the suffering is omnipresent. It almost looks like a oxymoron, right? You are suffering, you are dying, and yet you talk about humor and laughter and this mind mastering the trick of art of living. Okay, it almost looks counterintuitive. Okay, so now this is another aspect. He says how people survive. One way is through empathy. Okay, when you are in state of suffering, okay, it probably gives you that understanding how others may also be suffering. He says, no man should judge unless he himself, in absolute honesty, whether in a similar situation, he might not have done the same. Until you have experienced the same thing, okay, you should not be judging anybody. How people fight back, why some people lie, why some people break down, why some people have aspirations. Says love, empathy, creativity, all of these are tools that probably help people survive. Yeah, Ishita, different abilities to face suffering in life can interconnect with one's perspective towards aspirant's life. Correct, yes. Okay, so these are some insights about how he led his life in the concentration camp. Now I'll jump to another page directly. He says, most important, do the prisoners' reactions to a singular world of concentration camp prove that man cannot escape the influence of his surroundings? Does man have no choice in action in face of such circumstances? He is questioning that when we are suffering, when they were in the camp, did the prisoners have a choice or not? Did the prisoners feel trapped and they could not escape the influence? The conditions was bleak, the conditions were tormenting. Did it mean that everybody was tormented equally with no hope? He says, we can answer these questions from experience as well as on principle. The experience of camp life shows that man does have a choice of action. It's again interesting insight for me, that even in the most desolate conditions and hopeless conditions, he says, there's always a choice of what you want to do or what you can do. There are enough examples
So
of
Shabbir,
heroic nature. Yeah.
so sorry to pause you. So
Yeah.
one of the essay topics I had given in the Telegram channel, students, if you recall, is a quote from Albert Camus, that in the midst of a chilling winter, I discovered in me an invincible summer. Right? This is what Shabbir just talked about, is an excellent example of that. That when you are absolutely tired is when you are absolutely free also. So the concept of free will being an illusion, or whether we really have free will, actually comes down to how you respond to a situation, and not whether you are tied by circumstances, right? So this is a amazing point, in fact, not just for essay writing, but for life in general. When I read it, my understanding also went to the next level. And Kaushik, to your point, uh, the approach of whether you are optimistic or pessimistic totally depends on your reaction, right? So how do you react to the circumstances thrown at you is completely up to you. That's what Viktor Frankl is saying. Sorry, Shabir, I wanted to
No,
put
absolutely. He says that apathy could be overcome, irritability is suppressed. Man can preserve a vestige of spiritual freedom, even in such terrible conditions of psychic and physical stress. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. There's always a choice to make. Very, very powerful. Okay, जो कहते हैं ना कि यार, there's no option left. Okay, there's no other way out. I had no choice. He says, I mean, if a man coming from concentration camp says there are choices, we better listen to what he's saying. Okay, a man always has the freedom to choose how to react. Okay, he goes on and he says that emotion, which is suffering, ceases to be suffering as soon as we form a clear and precise picture of it. In this book, okay, there's one statement. He says that in suffering, a man has the freedom or the choice to live a life of dignity even in suffering. That's the choice. He says the choice of, okay, the life of dignity, the choice of life of self-respect. Okay, so if you can master that, he says that becomes a type of an opportunity in suffering. Okay, a prisoner who has lost faith in the future is doomed. With his loss of belief in the future, he also lost his spiritual hold. It says you cannot lose hope. You cannot lose the positivity of the future. He says if you lose hope, it's mental and physical decay. So how some people overcame the concentration camp was, okay, by choosing not to give in, okay, at the spiritual level or the mental level. Kaushik says, making those dark moments curious, does it come naturally to them without being consciously or pain taught them realize? Kaushik, I think in most cases, they discovered this ability. I'm sure none of them were taught to do it consciously earlier. But in those moments of suffering, in those moments of, bleak prospects, okay, I think they taught that to themselves. And if something we can learn, okay, probably that's how we can deal with our loss and failure also. So I doubt if they must have done consciously. It's how mind probably, okay, worked for them.
And Shabbir, in that paragraph, he quoted Spinoza. So just for everybody, Spinoza was an age of enlightenment, philosopher, and he is credited with a lot of really groundbreaking work in terms of questioning God, questioning common knowledge at that point of time. So he was actually a very modern thinker in what is called the age of enlightenment, especially with respect to Western civilization. So, huge figure in the 17th century.
Yeah. So I'm jumping pages now. Okay. The second part of his book, he talks about logotherapy. He says that, what is this? He says, let me explain. I've employed the term logotherapy as the name for my thesis. Logo, the Greek word that denotes meaning. Logotherapy, okay, basically means that you heal yourself by giving meaning to your life. Okay. Logotherapy is striving to find a meaning in one's life is the primary motivational force in man. Okay, I speak of a will to meaning in contrast to pleasure or principle. So he says the core of all of this is that find a purpose for yourself, find a meaning for yourself, find a way that your life is meant for something, a higher purpose. He says all of that probably gives him that power or that freedom to choose. He says in logotherapy, it works in three ways: by doing a good deed, by experiencing a value, and by living a suffering. So how does one find meaning in their life? Okay, by helping others, by doing good things, by supporting others, empathy, like experiencing a value is being alive to the situation. You're being curious. Okay, you have a value for whatever you are witnessing, experiencing, and in suffering, you have the choice not to lose hope. In suffering, you have the choice to live a life of dignity. It says fundamentally, this is the core of a life well lived. And
And Shabir, an interesting exercise I try to do in my brain when I saw this, and I was really impressed by the clarity of thought. He's bringing in here. You take Gandhi, Mandela, Mother Teresa, or Buddha, or anybody that you quote, and you find that what is the good deed they did, what is the person or thing that they love the most, and what is the suffering they went through. You will actually find the way they found their purpose. And if, for example, Buddha himself has said that to understand suffering, he had to take himself through suffering, and that's how he figured out what his purpose is. And this analysis is actually a very interesting way to get into not just historical figures, but anybody who's questioning what is my purpose in life and what am I doing here. Very existential question. And if you look at existentialism and how to understand purpose, things that we regularly deal with in essay writing in UPSC, this is actually gold, because it is giving you the algorithm to find purpose. You actually find purpose
yeah,
by doing
how to
something
find
good.
purpose.
You find purpose by loving somebody or something, or you find purpose through suffering. So it's a great reminder.
The second way of finding a meaning in life is by experiencing something such as work, okay, of nature or culture, and also by experiencing someone by love. I mean, I cannot explain this as lucidly. It requires a lot of thinking, actually. See, I think the whole idea of exposing you guys to these books is at least know that these ideas exist. Okay, if you pick up some sentences here, sentences there, if you sit back and read through this, you'll realize that there is some wisdom in this. Dave, I have more or less read through this.
Yeah.
I want to read one passage from one of the preface that he had written for his book, the 1992 edition. He wrote something. Okay, I was very inspired by that, and maybe it'll mean something to all of us here.
Come on, inspire us. Yes.
Yeah. So he says, in his own words, he says, "I wrote the book in 1945. Okay, and with a firm determination that the book should be published anonymously. The first printing of the original German version does not show my name on the cover, though at last moment, just before the book's initial publication, I did finally give in to my friends who argued to let me publish with my name." Okay, fine. So then he says, it is so both strange and remarkable that among the dozen of books I have authored, this one, which I had intended to be published anonymously so that it could never build up any reputation on that part of the author, did become a success. Again and again, I therefore admonish my students both in Europe and in America, don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you're going to miss it. For success, like happiness, can't be pursued. It must ensue. It only does so as the unintended side effect of one's dedication to a greater cause than oneself, or as a byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. Happiness must happen. And the same holds for success. You have to let it happen by not caring about it. It says success will follow you precisely because you had forgotten to think about it. Now I'm looking at the topic. Happiness is not the destination. Happiness is the way. Okay. It's a very powerful one. All of you are struggling to succeed in the examination. Learn this, get marks. Your focus is the marks. If you can switch yourself, even in essays, you can switch yourself, the art of writing, the art of expressing, learning the art of bringing things together. आप उस पे focus करो, okay, the art of critical thinking, marks आएंगे. And perhaps they will say, message to us also. Okay, what are we running after as success? We just need to do a good work.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what they say, that inspiration is like a warm bath. You need to have one every day, right? Otherwise, you get dirty, you get grimy, you kind of forget, you know, the potential of what you could do. So I think I'm glad you pulled it out, and I'm glad we looked at it together. This is really, really at the core of what we are doing in life, not just essay writing, but what we are pursuing, what we are going after in life. So absolutely agree.
So
I think for
that
me,
was
Shabir, this
that.
was
Dave.
yeah. So I was saying that for me this was a great session. I enjoyed it. I loved the book. I had read a summary before. I had not read the book, but I did take the opportunity when we decided to do it to actually read it end to end. So I must say that I'm a better person because I read it, and I think it's a wonderful book. So I'm glad we brought it out um, for everybody today.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjay Shri. I'm happy we can see it as an insight. I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't have gone any slower. I wish I could spend some more time on some passages. But the whole idea is take you the book very fast, quickly. At least you know the larger picture. You have an idea about the message conveyed. And these sessions are not a replacement to actually reading the book. Okay. And even if you can't read the book, my suggestion is read about it at least. आप विकिपीडिया ही खोल लो कम से कम और अपने शब्दों में एक बार पढ़ लो. Pull out sentences, pull out some phrases, pull out a word or two. Know the name. Now if you want to quote somebody inspiring, don't quote Gandhi, Buddha every time. Now you have Viktor Frankl to talk about. Okay. So that's what I could have discussed in this session. Thanks for pitching in with your inputs.
Wonderful, wonderful. No, I loved it, absolutely loved it. And my message to students is please send us what you'd like to, for us to summarize. We would absolutely love it. Shabir, there was a request that came in Telegram to also try and do some movie reviews. I was just thinking what
Okay.
might be useful. Of course, we don't want to become an entertainment channel, so we have to figure out a good one. And I think, but definitely give us your suggestions, and we'll try to make sure we accommodate everything that we can.
Okay. Thank you, guys. By the way, all of you, you have a live session on CSAT at 8 o'clock. Gaurav sir will be taking those sessions. Today, what we started with, remember, to take education out there for everybody. By the way, I forgot to show one thing. I think we just have enough time for that. Or maybe, Dave, if you can pull out that memory aid from Yuki on this.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
of course.
You should talk about it, maybe for 2-3 minutes.
Okay, guys, here's the cheat sheet on um, how you can use Yuki effectively to um, avoid these sessions. Okay, so if you don't want to attend these sessions, just go to Yuki and see what I did. I said, from Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, give me key highlights, page numbers, need this for UPSC essay. Okay, so a total cheat code for you guys. But
We are sharing the secret sauce.
see, so no shame in doing that, because you can't read every book in the world, right? So I will be the first to admit I had read a summary of this, and I wasn't able to actually read it fully. But basically, it gave me the essence of what this is. Here's what he's talking about. It gave me some analysis, and the best part was that this nice little um,
Yeah.
graphic which says, okay, here's what it talks about: meaning as motivation, survival in adversity, purpose driven life, freedom of attitude, source of meaning, what is logotherapy, work, love, courage. We talked about that, right? Suffering and growth, and some idea about UPSC essay integration. So I think start using the tools, because you of course cannot read everything that's out there, and this is a huge aid. When and it's not like we have fed all the books that are out there. We have fed some specific books that UPSC needs to Yuki, so you will find much better answers for some of them. But in this case, Viktor Frankl's book is not fed, but it actually pulled out, and a lot has gone into the prompt design of making sure that you don't have to worry too much about kind of how to use AI, but you answers are right there in front of you. You can of course use learn how to use AI in a free time, but we understand you're trying to crack an exam. So I think take full advantage of it, and I feel it's
Dave, can you
it's
show that write up? Uh, I like that. I didn't see that.
yeah.
Yeah. So you scroll. Yeah, this part here. Analysis. I mean, if you just read the analysis, guys, it's more than you need for essay writing. What does Viktor Frankl argue for? What he thinks about motivation, attitude? Okay, his ideas. इसमें से 4-5 word लगा दो, your essay is done. Abhishek Singh asks that if someone is a novice, which book should one begin with? Abhishek, I have a formula here. Go on any AI tool, Yuki included, just ask a list. Okay. You ask, I'm a novice, or maybe Dev, if you can type this for him. I'm a
Okay.
novice. I've never read a book, but I want to read a book. I'm a UPSC aspirant. Suggest 15-20 easy to read books I can use in my GS answers. आप पूछो ना इसको.
Let's see
Whatever you're
what it.
asking me. Okay, there you are. The story of my experiment with truth, wings of fire. The alchemist, you can win, ignited minds. Tuesdays with Maury, who moved my cheese. Okay, and type some more. You can have a 20. Okay, और जो मन करे उठा लो किताब. The problem I think we all should get over is You start a book, you don't like it, छोड़ दो उसको ना. Why do you have that compulsion कि उठाया तो खत्म करना पड़ेगा? There are hundreds of books I've started with. I have not read beyond one chapter. I didn't like it. I left it. I picked up another book. So you have to experiment to find what type of books interest you. Dave, am I suggesting right or I don't know? That's how I do it.
Absolutely. And I'm the biggest um, uh, offender in that perspective that, I start books and I feel so bad when I don't like them, and I can't complete them. And then after some time, I'm like, why am I doing this? Right? So I think most of us have that issue. But the best way to learn something is jump into the water, right? That's how you learn swimming. Just jump into the water. This is not like it will not drown you, right? It's not going to kill you. You read 2 pages, you don't like it, just throw it. Get another book. Don't worship the books. Read them. Okay. It's better to read 2 books than have 20 in your bookshelf. So definitely don't have the obsession of collecting books and talking about them. Reading the books is more important. Okay, so I think
And add, if you do not like it, leave it.
yeah.
Okay. I don't think you must punish yourself. Okay. And और जो नहीं पढ़ने का मन है, यूकी से समरी निकाल लो और क्या.
Abhishek, Alchemist is a fantastic idea. Start with it. You'll also enjoy it. Absolutely enjoy it. Tell us how you felt in the Telegram channel. Love to hear. Okay, Alpha Zero. You started with Chetan Bhagat's novel. Okay, that's a good start. Not exactly of the ones that you could use in UPSC essays, but certainly you can make some Bollywood movies out of it. So yeah, not a bad start at all. And I think one thing I must tell you this, and Shabir, what I typically do is especially when I'm reading non-fiction. Okay, fiction is fine. Fiction is okay. I love fiction. I read all kinds of stories, trash stories, good stories, bad stories. But when I read non-fiction, I do one thing is check the author and what is the orientation of the author, which way is the author leaning. So my point of view is always set that okay, I'm going to get a left leaning or right leaning or more leaning toward, because everyone who writes a non-fiction book, most people have an agenda. Okay, most people who write non-fiction books have an agenda. So make sure you just understand what it is. You may like it, you may hate it, that's a different issue. Whatever your perspective is, but have an understanding of okay, I'm reading this person and he is going to have an inflammatory view. For example, I love Arundhati Roy for all her literary talent and all her books, but when I read her non-fiction, I must say that I thought it was a little extreme, and I because I had done that analysis, I could set that view, and I could think then being influenced by something one day and being influenced by something else the next day. So you that is not good analysis, right? I'm not saying you don't get influenced, but have a thought process of why you are reading something and what it might give you. So that's just a small caution when you are reading non-fiction, but absolutely fiction is great. How about Osho books? Rachit Chaudhary says. Rachit, I have read some of Osho's and I'll let Shabbir comment also. I think Osho writes beautifully. I feel his books I think I read something that is called Thou Art That. It gave me great understanding. I think whenever I read a book, personally, what I try to do is, what am I going to get out of it? Try to answer that question. Am I trying to judge this person for what they are? Is the person good, bad, ugly? Is the idea good, bad, ugly? Am I here to learn something from it? Or let me see what a counter view of this particular understanding is. So I've read theology books, I've read atheist books, I've read purposeful books, I've read absurd books. But I think you must understand what you are trying to gain out of this experience. तो तुम एक चीज़ कर रहे हो, किसी चीज़ पे कूद रहे हो, तो पहले ये समझ लो कि क्यों कर रहे हो. आस्क वाई, एंड देन योर experience will be absolutely great. Shabir, I would love your thoughts.
Yeah, Dev. I said many of us, have our fixed mindset about what they want to hear and what they don't want to hear. Okay, Osho, Krishnamurti, reading about books on God, life, Richard Dawkins. अगर आप वो अपना फिक्स माइंडसेट छोड़ दो कि let us see what they say. It doesn't matter you are a believer, not a believer. Okay, you are cynical, you are atheist. Okay, I'm a follower of so and so. अब वो part छोड़ के just curiosity. Good, bad, ugly, they have been very powerful personalities. Okay, so Osho बोलते हैं ना एक typical mindset है कि Osho means he did something, okay, and keep that man aside and read what he says. A very powerful, very, very powerful. Okay, you may be Hindu, Muslim, you can be a Jew, but the philosophies of Buddhism is incredible. Taoism, incredible philosophies. So if you can keep that part of your mind alag se, okay, just curiosity. आप माने ना माने ठीक है, you can always disagree. You'll find a lot of wisdom. You'll find a lot of new age godmen, okay, उनके ideas घुमा घुमा के ही बोलते हैं. Okay, you see where the source comes from. Okay, yes, absolutely. Read them. Read Carl Sagan. You read Richard Dawkins. You read Osho. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you.
Yeah, eventually,
Right,
I think, these people all have a perspective, and you may learn something from that perspective. So, keeping an open mind is absolutely essential. And Rachit, totally agree with you. It is the UPSC preparation that makes you neutral, makes you appreciate different perspectives, and I think it's designed that way because if you qualify and join the service, you will be part of an elite crew that runs this nation. And we don't want to have biased thinkers. We don't want to have people that work on gut instincts and what they heard from ancient times, or they have to be analysis oriented rational thinkers who take great calls. So it will make you neutral. Alpha Zero has a question. Sir, one doubt I have. Shall we diversify our reading habit or just stick to same genre? Shabbir, I'll let you take that question.
Of course, diversify. Alpha, why are you religiously, I guess, stuck with your one genre? Who knows what you may like? So go explore. मैं कह तो रहे हैं कि निकालो 15-20 फेमस किताब, okay, and go explore. Okay, नहीं पसंद है छोड़ देना. I don't believe you should stick to any one genre. Okay, and they actually, it depends on your mood. Sometimes you want to do absolutely trash reading, go read trash. You can love reading some gossip magazines also. That's perfectly fine. Okay, you want to
Okay,
read something?
I must
Yeah.
show you guys what I got recently.
Ah.
This is The Anarchy by William Dalrymple. It's part of a four-book series on East India Company that he has written. This is what I'm just starting to read. I'm loving it, Shabir. This is a really
I,
amazing book.
I started with the Golden Road.
Okay.
Okay, but I couldn't go beyond the initial one or two sections. Okay, I need to sit back again. But yes, that's inspiring.
Yeah,
And
Golden
they,
Road. Obviously, I haven't read it, but I think we should talk a little bit eventually at some point to the students because what he says is what we typically don't talk about, right? Which is the Gupta period, which was huge for India in terms of what India's real achievements were. And I think he says we are proud of India for all the wrong reasons. We should be proud of India for these reasons, and I think he has a point. But we should cover it at some point. Was what I was saying.
you remember this book?
Oh yes, yes,
This book was gifted to me by Dave. Uh, it's not a novel. You just pause, read, think, uh, by some read some quotes by Mirza Ghalib. It's a very famous book. I keep it with me. Once in a while, I pick it out
yeah.
and yeah,
In fact,
simple
Shabir,
life.
how I found the book is when I should tell everybody the story. I was reading India After Gandhi by Ram Guha, okay, which
Hmm.
everybody knows. That's a huge, it's a great book. In the preface of that book, he is actually referred to this book by Mirza Ghalib, and the book Temple Lamps is Mirza Ghalib's view of Banaras, which is a Hindu holy city. And Ram Goa actually talks a little bit. I'll not say that. There's no spoilers. You go read it. If you haven't read India After Gandhi, it's an amazing book. It's a big, dense book, but definitely something that will help
But
your.
most of our Janta will be shocked because what they hear about India, okay, what they read about from the political narrative, it'll shock them about what India truly is.
Yes.
So, knowledge liberates types.
Yeah, and it go exactly, and this is why Rachit, I'll totally agree with you. This is why UPSC makes you neutral because knowledge liberates, and when you have understanding of how different things work in the world, you have a newer appreciation of the mechanics of how things actually unfold, and not lot of times it's not as simple as you might think. I was actually reading a history book yesterday, and in the author's preface, she has written that historians never ever talk about golden periods in history. He says the idea of a golden period in history, it does not exist for historians. I found that amazing. She says that history, the professors of history or students of history refer to history as, okay, here are the good things, here are the bad things. So if somebody says that Indian people went to trade with East Asian nations and left pieces of Ramayana, Mahabharat, Ganesh statues and Shiva statues there must have been an exchange from the other side too. And we never talk about that. We always talk about what we exported, but we never talk about what we imported. For one thing, a lot of what we have imported is language, culture. There's so many things we have, but just bringing that point out to illustrate that this point Rachit made, that knowledge will liberate, and absolutely, like Shabbir said, you keep your curiosity alive and keep reading. and you don't have to worry too much. All right,
We let them go now. And
uh,
I'll say all of you preparing for prelims, attend Gaurav Sir's lecture. He is a very good teacher. He is being generous, offering his sessions for free as of now, at least. I'll request him to have a short course, which will be a paid course, which you can all afford. But you had your good break. Ab वापस पढ़ाई करो. And for those who have not initiated yourself, please join our PSP program. We're starting with geography coming Monday. Okay. So I hope I can be part of your journey. We can be part of your preparation process. You like this process, go talk to your friends and tell them to come and join the sessions. Okay. So, yeah. So my wishes to you. All the best. Catch you again next week with some new book, or let's see, a movie maybe.
yeah, and if you like what you are seeing, if you like what we are doing, definitely spread the word,
Encourage
because
us.
encourages, we need it. We need the viewership, but also if we are not doing something that we should be doing, absolutely give us
Let us know.
feedback, and we'll do it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye bye. Thanks, Dave. It was always wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, you can, Rachit. You can come and meet me. No